So trade season has opened this week. Sean just took a deep breath. It started off with a blockbuster trade, right? Giannis heading to South Beach. Tyler Hero, well, homecoming in Milwaukee. And then the details and the deals, they continued. LaMelo Ball on his way to Minnesota. Julius Randle going to Brooklyn. Beef stew. Isaiah Stewart getting a little bit of Memphis barbecue. Dave McMenamin is joining us now because the offseason moves are just getting started, and we expect the Lakers, right, to be a part of that.
A lot of work still remaining for the Lakers, but I want to hear what Shams said.
Yeah, there's some big dominoes that we are still tracking. Jaylen Brown, possibly. Shams, who do you have your eye on here as we officially get to free agency?
Yeah, Malika, there's a lot going on a lot of levels, but I think the biggest name that I hear right now on the trade front is Jaylen Brown of the Celtics. The Celtics are actively engaged with multiple interested teams in Jaylen Brown, and around the league, the word is right now that the Celtics are discussing deals with a purpose. Jaylen Brown has 3 years left on his deal at a supermax clip, but we know they made an offer of Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They didn't get Giannis, and now they are discussing deals with multiple teams around Jaylen Brown. And so technically there is an urgency because of the length of his contract. But depending how this offseason goes, depending how long this trade situation develops, the urgency could start on either end of the spectrum of this. There's no doubt these hard conversations between the Celtics and Jaylen Brown are continuing to go on.
There's 3 big names who've come sort of off the board. We've obviously had Giannis move.
Yeah.
LaMelo has moved. And we had Austin Reeves. He never was really on the market, but he would have been.
Yeah, the extension happened.
Let's pay attention to the teams that we've heard attached to those guys that haven't landed anybody. So Detroit was interested in Reeves, interested in getting in on the Giannis deal at one point. We had Portland, who's been interested in Giannis, interested in LaMelo. We have Toronto, who's been interested in Giannis and interested in making a big move for a while.
Okay.
Let's keep an eye on these 3 teams.
Right, because just because they missed out on those guys doesn't mean that there's not still interest out there. You bring up Portland. I want to head to the big board. That's where our front office insider, Bobby Marks, is. So, Bobby, whenever there are specific teams and names that are brought up, I'm always curious how they're going to work. Make it work for Jaylen Brown, please.
Well, we're going to look at Portland right now, and I think Portland's a wild card just because of whenever you have new ownership, that certainly puts it in play as far as someone going out and making a big splash, what the Trailblazers do. Here's what they have. They've got 5 tradable firsts. Remember, they control Milwaukee's first from 2028 to 2030 from the Damian Lillard trade here. Young players. So if you are a team like Boston, you're looking for a paint present? How about Donovan Clingan? Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharp. The column over here, established starters. Certainly, if I'm Portland, I don't want to part ways with Denny Avdia, but Jeremy Grant, Drew Holiday back. Damian Lillard's got a no-trade clause. But for the Trailblazers, this is what you have to offer, and they've certainly poked around when it came to Giannis. I would certainly expect them to poke around with some of these big names, starting with Jaylen Brown.
Okay, so Shump, you see the list of possible assets here. Do you like the idea of Jaylen Brown and the Portland Trailblazers?
I do, but
that was a very slow I do. If you were at the altar, I'm not so sure that was resounding yes.
So Denny Avdia, I really like his game, and I feel like that's the only way a trade could even go down with those 2 teams. I would love to have Jaylen Brown, but I would love to have Jaylen Brown knowing that I have Denny Avdia if I was going to do something like that. But if it does so happen, I have no problem with Jaylen Brown and Damian Lillard getting to share back.
Yeah, getting to share backcourt. Maybe fitting
Holiday. I'm not saying they're looking to trade him, but Drew Holiday is out there, and Boston obviously has great appreciation and history.
I'm just curious how many dominoes might be standing in the way of Jaylen Brown, because you mentioned that an Austin Reeves wasn't necessarily available, but when you're talking about Kawhi Leonard has a extension that I'm sure he's hoping to reach going into an expiring deal. When you're looking at Jaylen Brown, are teams sort of waiting also to see are any of these other things percolating as we try to keep our pans in the oven?
Well, look, here's what you're going to do. If you're going to call the Celtics, you know that they didn't get Giannis, and you know that it's now blasting out there.
Yeah.
You're going to lowball them.
Yeah.
You're going to say, boy, you're in big trouble here. You can't bring Jaylen Brown to training camp. You're going to lowball them. Well, whether they can or can't.
I was going to say, can they not bring them to training camp? I think they can.
That's what they're going to say.
Sure.
Okay? And so you're going to lowball them. And so there's going to be a process that goes through. And Boston is going to have to play the game where they try to get multiple offers against each other and try to get it up, just like Milwaukee did with Giannis. So it could be a process.
Right now, what we're seeing is Boston is out there. They're scouring the market and seeing what is out there for Jaylen Brown. And I think both of these sides are on the same accord. But if there's no deal that happens in a specific period of time, I think teams around the league are waiting to see, what does Jaylen Brown feel about that eventually? If this gets to a mid-July or a late July, that is a question we don't have answered yet.
Yeah, and that's when the urgency maybe could change for Jaylen Brown. We all went to bed last night knowing that this was a possibility. Why did the Charlotte Hornets decide that now was the time?
Malika, for the first time in LaMelo Ball's career, he was a very wanted man. His value has been at its peak going into this offseason. He had a strong finish to the year for the Hornets. Him and the Hornets seemed like they were in a great place. And suddenly, in the last couple weeks, 3 teams came and made rich offers to the Hornets. Minnesota, Toronto, and Portland. And the Hornets never came into the offseason wanting to shop LaMelo Ball, but the price kept going up, and they felt if a team met their threshold, they would not be afraid to move him. And that's what Minnesota and Tim Connolly, the president of basketball operations, he is no stranger to making these types of moves, these gunslinging moves. That's the term that I hear throughout the NBA today, is that Tim Connolly is a gunslinger because of moves like this. Rudy Gobert several years ago, that was looked at as a move. They gave up all these draft picks, and they do the same here. Naz Reid, a very good two-way big, unprotected first-round pick that's far out, that's valuable, 3 pick swaps, 3 second-round picks. So they've met that price. And a lot of it for the Timberwolves, when I speak to people there, they say we needed a talent infusion.
Right.
We saw what happened with us in the playoffs last year against San Antonio, Oklahoma City, the year before that.
Right.
We need players of LaMelo Ball's caliber to be able to compete with them. They went after Jaylen Brown this offseason. They went after Giannis Antetokounmpo at the deadline, and lightly again this summer. But LaMelo Ball emerged as their target. And I spoke to someone around LaMelo Ball earlier this morning, and he told me that LaMelo Ball is excited to go to Minnesota.
I would be.
Him and Anthony Edwards have had contact. They're friends, and he knows the task at hand now to try to lead this team with Anthony Edwards to a championship.
Ant needed some help. It was so clear at the end of the season.
And specifically a point guard. How many times were we texting and we would say they need a point guard on this team?
We saw so many times this year where Ant was going uphill facing double teams.
Right.
It was the standard. That's where the game plan started. We're going to double team Ant 25 times.
Frustrating.
Okay? And so this is a way to free him. This is such a welcome sight. And look, I don't know where this situation was going. When soon as Giannis got traded, the people in the league who track these things said, put Ant on the watch list because of the way this season ended. Then the Wolves make the deal the other day where they appeared to salary dump Julius Randle. It's like, oh man, now ownership's pulling back on spending.
Well, that's why Bobby's saying there's always a part A, part B, part C to a trade.
It was a flashing orange light, and it ended up being a green light because to get this player, you double team Ant Edwards now with LaMelo Ball on the court. You are all kinds of in trouble because he is not afraid to shoot from anywhere. He is not afraid, and he will throw the ball. He will push the ball up in transition. I don't know if this is going to work, okay? I don't know if LaMelo is going to stay healthy, but this is a terrific, aggressive move that will open up the floor for them.
I like it a lot. I think that LaMelo Ball does as good as anybody.
Were you surprised at all?
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised because LaMelo Ball has a trust issue next to his name. Everybody's got these trust issues with him. I tell you what I trust him to do. I trust him to throw a good lob, and now he's got a good lob target. I trust him to come off a ball screen and take 2 dribbles and get in the lane. He might serve the pizza with it. He might do it a little bit too much.
We're in New York.
He might throw it behind his back, but he can get in there. When you collapse a defense and now you're kicking out to Ant Edwards, and Ant Edwards can attack a closeout as opposed to him getting the ball, having to protect his catch, see a defense loading up and try and figure out how am I going to knife in there. No, he's about to be doing this after